Useless modifications. For all game modes we have Dozer Blades for Chinese and Russian vehicles, Mine Protection, Night Vision, Suspension and ESS. From rank 6, Night Vision, Suspension and ESS become irrelevant. Note, for realistic battles we only have improved optics, and controversial modifications we have Scout UAV and Airstrike. From all game modes we're gonna select the Dozer Blade as the first example. So guys, the first reason why I don't run Dozer Blades on my Russian and Chinese tanks is very obvious. The model is already there. Yes, you heard me right. The blade model is already there. If you look underneath any of your favorite Chinese or Russian main battle tanks, you already have it there. Matter of fact, it's hidden, so many people do not know that it even exists as a modification that's already installed on your tank without even researching or purchasing it. Now note that the Russian or Chinese Dozer Blades are very bad and they're just a piece of metal with a couple hooks on it. So it does not give you whatsoever armor compared to its NATO counterparts. The second reason and the most obvious reason is because of the repair cost. For example, the T80 BVM's repair cost is 161 SL, whilst on the Chinese Tracti, the ZTZ-99A's Dozer Blade repair cost is 159. Let's say that you play the ZTZ-99A, right? And you have the blade modification on the Dozer Blade modification. If you played it for 100 games, you just do 100 times 159 SL, you get how much SL you just wasted on nothing. And also, it is really useless in my opinion. Dozer Blades were just a fun, cool feature to make the game slightly more realistic. But when it comes to gameplay sense, it is really useless and I have never seen a situation where it would make any sense to play it. As War Thunder in top tier is just pressing W and dying, genuinely. Also, even if you do camp, the amount of options that can kill you while camping, from planes to helicopters to drones to just a wheelie boy flanking you and shooting you from the side, it is incredible. Especially now with adding lock and forget rockets, it is pointless to even hide your hole because they just go through your turret anyways. Let us select Mine Protection now. Landmine Protection. Whoa, I don't even know where to start with this garbage modification. Okay, let's start. So, for those of you who didn't know, landmine protection does exist in the game, and it is something that you could waste your hard-earned shekels on. Where can I start? Well, let's start from the very common understanding of landmine protection. It stops landmines. Now you see, here's the problem with War Thunder. There are no landmines. Yeah, sure, there are sea mines, but that's kinda useless when you're playing Stalingrad as top tier. Let alone another map that has no water whatsoever around it. Yeah, so that is quite useless. The second thing is how much debuff it gives you to your vehicle. Depending on the vehicle itself, it could get up to 3000 extra kilos of mass. That slows you down a lot. Also, that -2 to 1 degree incline is bad. At top tier, you want to get all our declines and depressions as high as and as low as possible. Let alone the braking distance or the acceleration time or the full time to stop is horrible. On top of that, Gaijin incredibly charges you 401 SL for repair. It gets even worse with some of the Israeli tanks going up to 406 SL. To repair what? A piece of metal underneath my tank that does nothing half the time? Not even half the time, all the time. Even if you get shot in the lower plate, that extra 10mm will do fuck all at a DM53. Night Vision modification. Night Vision. So the reason why I don't run Night Vision, well, there's two reasons really. The first one is obviously the repair cost. If for example you go to the SU-57, the Night Vision repair cost is 84 SL. That's quite expensive, Lemao, for a tank that doesn't even see any night maps. But this gets worse. If you go to the BTR-80A and you select the Night Vision modification, its repair cost goes up to 280. 280 SL for something that doesn't even do anything at the current game meta. At the current game, really. It's not even a meta, there's no night maps. Gaijin has removed them as of making this video. Now they are planning to add them back in the future, but note that this is going to be something that you'll choose to play. So according to Gaijin, on the roadmap they will decide that once you want to play a night map, you can select the option and you can hop onto a night map. Now let me be honest with you guys, I don't think anyone will ever fucking play night maps, and the queue time is going to be like 30 minutes. I might revisit the game mode to, you know, go down memory lane and just remember all those thousands of hours screaming into my monitor because I didn't have night vision or thermals at a night map. But otherwise, yeah guys, I suggest never researching this modification and especially purchasing it. Let us select suspension modification now. Suspension modification. So, suspension modification is a unique modification itself. What does it do? Well, suspension modification allows you to dampen your side movement. So this is quite good as a modification if you are playing rank 6 and lower, right? If you're, for example, playing rank 5, rank 4, rank 3 and all the way to rank 1, this is a great modification. I highly suggest getting it as soon as possible. Now you might say, but then why is it in this list? Well, as soon as you reach the era where stabilizers become a basic necessity for every tank, that's when suspension dampening becomes absolutely useless. Why? Why would you want to make your crosshair more smoother when you have a stabilizer that can do that already? Like, do you get the difference? Like, an extra 10% suspension dampening will not do anything when you actually have, you know, a stabilizer built into your tank. And obviously the second reason, just like with any of these modifications, is just the extra SL for nothing. I personally think if your vehicle has a stabilizer, you should just not bother with the suspension dampening. Now if your vehicle does not have a stabilizer, then please go ahead, research it, it's an A tier modification. Now let us select ESS. ESS. So the main reason why I don't like ESS is because of its repair cost. So let's get that out of the way. So it's repair cost, right? Especially in top tier because it gets quite expensive for something really irrelevant. The second reason is, as you can see in the clip, ESS does not block thermal sight. Yeah, you heard me right. ESS does not block thermal sight whatsoever. And a matter of fact, ESS is quite irrelevant as soon as thermals get introduced into the game, obviously. Maybe at the lower BRs it's more valid, but at top tier, no. I mean, the only other way I could justify using ESS would be, for example, if you are trying to escape from CAS, like helicopters, planes, or drones, perhaps. But really, I mean, it comes from the back of your engine, so you would need to go forward and then drive backwards, kind of. So, unless it's a helicopter, maybe, then you could kind of run away. But if it's like a plane that's dive bombing, it's irrelevant to you, really, whether you're in the ESS or not, because it just gotta drop its bombs and you're gonna die. Now, ESS, don't get me wrong, ESS is a very good modification if you play at a lower BR, like for example the M4A5, the Canadian premium tank in the American Tech 3 that has ESS. At that BR, ESS is amazing, huge smoke coverage, very easy to pop, as long as your engine is active. And that's the third thing, by the way, I hate ESS for. If your engine is kaput, you cannot pop ESS. If your engine does not work, guys, you cannot pop ESS. Now note, there's a secret Easter egg where if you turn off your engine, you also turn off ESS. So I guess if you press by accident ESS, you could turn off your engine for a second and it stops. But that's really it. For realistic battles, we have improved optics. So improved optics. Improved optics, like I said before, are only a bad modification if you're playing realistic or simulator. And the main reason is because increasing opponent's detection radius does not apply to realistic whatsoever. Because in realistic, the only way you can detect an enemy is if you shoot them or scout them. Looking at them by themselves is not going to ping them for you on the map or assist you with that whatsoever. So yeah, I mean, I'm gonna keep this segment short. Improved optics only good for casual arcade. For controversial modifications, we have Scout UAV and Airstrike. We'll select Scout UAV as the first one to cover. Scout UAVs, where to begin? So, Scout UAVs are quite an interesting modification, and that's why I put it as the controversial one. As, you know, it depends, to be honest. They're quite useless when it comes to your teammates. It's more of like If you're like in a VC with your squads, or if you're doing any squadron battles, okay, then it's quite overpowered, I agree. Having a scout UAV is amazing, especially in squadron battles. Or if you're like trying to see if you could push a certain objective in solo, like it's like for example, you're the last person remaining, or there's a very little amount of tanks in some end game scenario. But otherwise, when it comes to your other teammates, the randoms that join the lobby with you, it's useless to them. You cannot scout targets properly, like with the normal binoculars. You cannot even ping, like on the map, you can't even show them that there's a tank there. Like if, for example, they go into your spawn, there's a ping. You can't do anything except squadron ping with them. And that's it. And give yourself personal information. So this is why I consider them as kind of a not an irrelevant, but a very, very interesting modification, as it may not benefit you a whole lot. Neither will your teammates benefit from them, but it's also good for certain scenarios. So it's really scenario based and designed on your play style. Let us select Airstrike. So, Airstrike. The main reason why I put it on the controversial list is because Airstrike really depends on your play style. So for example, if you're not going to bring or plan to play planes in arcade or realistic, then Airstrike is really a waste of SL. But if you are going to plan to bring a cast, whether it's a helicopter or plane, or plan to play planes or helicopters in arcade, then yes, you should bring it with you. I think it's really based around your lineup, to be honest, as if you don't have any planes in your lineup, it's pointless. I mean, that's really it. It's a short segment to this. Not much to Airstrike. And that's it, guys. Those are all the modifications I personally think you should not research or consider removing before you play with your lineup, or add before you play with your lineup. I mean, that's really it, guys. It took me some time to edit this video, fortunately, but yeah. Thank you for watching, guys, and see you in the next one.